Hey, does anyone remember when Brittany Murphy was dating Ashton Kutcher and they were hanging out with like P. Diddy a lot? And then does anyone remember that Brittany Murphy like died from pneumonia, but then they did an autopsy and they found out that it was rat poison? And then they also did an autopsy on like her creepy husband and they found out that it was also rat poison. And then P. Diddy's ex-wife Kim Porter, she also died from pneumonia, and they had the same coroner that Brittany Murphy had. And then also, do you guys remember that the house that Brittany Murphy died in, Britney Spears actually first bought that house?
Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy dated in 2003.
There's a photo of Britney, Ashton, and Diddy sitting courtside in Atlanta. So they were all good enough friends where the three of them were hanging out.
Yeah, Brittany Murphy died, I think, in 2009 from quote-unquote pneumonia.
Another body just got laid on Diddy by Kim Porter's coroner, even with his trial drawing closer. And it's none other than the body of Brittany Murphy, who famously died of pneumonia. But get this, it was the exact same pneumonia that unalived a lot of celebrities like Kim Porter and Aaron Carter, who were all allegedly connected to Diddy. Y'all, the internet detectives are connecting the dots in Britney's case, and it's all leading back to one person, Diddy. Could this be some mere conspiracy theory against Diddy? Or could all these pneumonia cases be more than mere coincidence? Well, you're about to find out more shocking details, so grab a drink and let's get into it.
Well, they said he died from that pneumonia.
Yes.
You know, just like Kim, just like Brittany Murphy. That pneumonia ain't no joke. Hey, every time somebody get to telling the truth about someone, whoever's been lying, they just say a little prayer and then the pneumonia comes.
From being the industry's it girl of the early 2000s to a sketchy demise that left everyone clueless, Brittany Murphy's death was one case that was hurriedly closed up by the cops until a picture of Brittany, Ashton, and Diddy resurfaced on the internet, and that's when it occurred to fans that Brittany Murphy shared a lot of similarities with Kim Porter, Diddy's ex. Not only were both women taken out at a very young age, but they were all part of Diddy's inner circle, and that's not all. Both women allegedly passed from pneumonia and shared the same coroner, Ed Winter, and that was a massive red flag, but it gets even worse. Aside from the part where people hardly hear of random healthy adults passing away from pneumonia, both women were rich and could afford the best treatment, so the autopsy report felt like there was a foul play somewhere, and this had speculations growing stronger because Ed Winter was also the LA County coroner who ruled on other popular cases like Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. Now, y'all might be wondering, how does Diddy fit into this whole Brittany Murphy puzzle? Well, just for starters, Brittany Murphy came into the industry at a very young age with the help of her mother, and she was a pretty naive girl, falling into the hands of two men she should have never gotten herself involved with, Simon Monjack and Ashton Kutcher. These two men had deep connections to Diddy and also had very shady backgrounds. Ashton Kutcher was a very close friend to Diddy and was at many of his freak-off parties. He was also famously known for co-hosting a lot of Diddy's parties, particularly his white parties. Brittany Murphy came into the picture after appearing in a few movies together with Ashton Kutcher like Just Married. The duo got romantically involved for a period of 5 months until Brittany called it quits, probably because she had gotten a first-hand experience of what it meant to be at Diddy's freak-offs. There were rumors, however, that even though Brittany and Ashton were no longer together, they were still keeping tabs on each other. But here's the kicker. For as long as Brittany and Ashton were an item and kept in touch, Brittany was landing lead female roles in a lot of movies. But when that connection was cut off, Brittany's career nosedived. Brittany went on to date other people after they broke up, and so did Ashton Kutcher, who started seeing Demi Moore, who was an older woman. Brittany once made a salty joke about Ashton's relationship with Demi Moore in an interview saying, "I suppose the crux of their relationship basically means to him that age doesn't matter, and to her that size doesn't matter." Now, even though Brittany added that it was all a joke, it revealed a deeper layer of what Brittany thought about Ashton. And this really bruised his ego. With Brittany's career not as bubbly as it was when she was with Ashton, and with all the dark secrets she had learnt about the industry, Brittany slowly began slipping into a different person. But a lot of her colleagues believed her husband, Simon Monjack, had a lot to do with it. Against everyone's advice, Brittany tied the knot with Simon Monjack, a self-acclaimed billionaire who was a screenwriter and a producer. Simon appeared well-to-do, and even though he was older than Brittany, he seemed like a perfect match, especially for her ailing career. But what Brittany didn't know was that Monjack was a con artist who had been arrested on several occasions. And unknown to Brittany, Simon had 2 secret children from a previous marriage which he abandoned. But wait, it gets worse. Simon was the kind of man that could sell off a person for $1, and an insider claimed he was always telling lies. Whether it was about his net worth, health status, or even his past relationships, Simon was always lying. And don't even get me started on how controlling Simon Monjack later turned out to be. To many who worked with Brittany, he was emotionally abusive and always gave off a bad vibe. Simon was a walking red flag, but Brittany came to realize that very late in their marriage. Simon was also overseeing Brittany's finances even when his own finances were not in order, and to make it worse, he made Brittany and her mother believe that he was investing Brittany's money into something tangible. But after he passed, Brittany's mom realized they'd been conned. Brittany was a convenient cash cow for Simon, and after they got married, he became her manager and even her makeup artist. This level of control was incredibly sus, but as the plot thickens, rumors had it that Simon Monjack got into serious hot water with Diddy's personal trainer, Harley Pasternak, who he was allegedly owing a lot of money to, and this money situation brings us back to Diddy. According to some sources, the real person Simon owed money wasn't Harley Pasternak, but Diddy, and because of this, Simon was always paranoid, so paranoid that he and Brittany lived in constant fear and felt someone was always following them. And in a bid to control things, Monjack cut off Brittany's phone line and also cut off her relationships with friends. At Simon's death, the property he and Brittany lived in was found to have been covered with a lot of CCTV cameras because of the constant fear Simon lived in. And here's where things get really messy. Brittany was reported to have had plans to expose Diddy and all his shady dealings with Ashton Kutcher and Simon knew of this, and let's not forget that Simon was also owing Diddy a large sum of money at the time, so he allegedly came up with a deal to save himself. It's believed that Simon used Brittany as a convenient scapegoat for his debts as he reportedly gave her out. But hold up, there's more. On the days leading up to Brittany's passing, it was said that Brittany developed a flu-like sickness and wanted to see a doctor, but Simon refused, opting for home remedies instead. According to him, he didn't think it was anything serious, and when Brittany eventually passed away, the Los Angeles County Coroner, Ed Winter, ruled Brittany's death as pneumonia complicated by anemia, and he said, she had been sick for at least 2 weeks. Had they taken her to a doctor or hospital, it would have been treatable. When Simon Monjack and Brittany's mom were asked why they never took Brittany to the hospital before her demise, Simon said he and Brittany were afraid that if people found out she was sick, it would affect her job prospects in the industry. Of course, that was just BS. But here comes the kicker. Brittany's mom reportedly made Brittany write her will before she passed, and while everyone believed there was more to Brittany's demise than the pneumonia claims, Monjack and Sharon kicked back against carrying out another autopsy. And after a toxicologist report found a large amount of metal in Brittany's hair believed to be from poisoning, Brittany's father wanted Brittany's body exhumed for a second opinion as to the cause of death, but Sharon put out a statement saying the allegations about Brittany being poisoned was based on flimsy evidence and was an attempt to exploit her daughter's passing. In her words, she wrote, "A hair sample can be affected by many outside factors, including hair dye, hairspray, prescription medications, foods, smoking occasional cigarette, and environmental factors. One cause we now know may have been toxic mold that was eventually discovered in that house, which may have been what really killed her." To show that Brittany's father actually had a valid point about Brittany getting poisoned, a celebrity bodyguard, Big Homie CC, who was at many of Diddy's freak-off parties, claimed that he had mistakenly ingested a poisonous pill which led to pneumonia-like symptoms a couple of weeks later, and this was the same substance Diddy allegedly used on Kim Porter. Let's not forget that Jamie Foxx also alleged that Diddy poisoned him with the same substance and he fell into a coma for 22 days. However, people like Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy never made it out to tell the story. It's obvious someone must have poisoned Brittany, but her mother and husband dismissed the claims, making Brittany's father seem crazy. But what got a lot of people really confused about Brittany's mysterious death was that just 6 months after her demise, Simon Monjack also passed from pneumonia, leaving Sharon Murphy. So, was this a classic case of self-harm? Or did Sharon Murphy have a hand in both cases? While no one can say for sure what really happened to the duo, what was clear was that everyone around Diddy was dying of pneumonia except him. So was it a mere coincidence, or there was foul play? Brittany was out on a tell-all tale about Diddy, and so was Kim Porter, who was rumored to have been writing a book about Diddy and all the sick things he was into. Which makes you think about what Jaguar Wright said about Andrew Harrell, Al B. Sure, Heavy D, and Kim Porter, who all started Uptown Record together with Diddy, but all mysteriously passed from pneumonia except Al B. Sure, who narrowly escaped it with a coma. But as for Diddy, there's been no such report. Now, for the coroner who carried out Brittany and Kim Porter's autopsy, Ed Winter. He conveniently passed away after he was asked to carry out Kim Porter's autopsy a second time. And what about Ashton Kutcher? Well, after Britney's demise, he suddenly went off the radar, and this had people wondering why. See, the thing is, Britney's departure wasn't the first time Ashton was being suspected for unaliving someone. Back in 2001, Ashton had been arrested alongside 2 other suspects for the death of Ashley Ellerin, who he was supposed to meet up at Hollywood for a date. But the next day, Ashley Ellerin was found dead in her apartment, and the last person she spoke with over the phone the night before was Ashton Kutcher. But that's not all. During Ashton's testimony in court, he said, "I got there 2 hours after the call and found the lights on and the door locked. Peering through the window, I saw what I thought was a red wine spilled on the carpet. I didn't really think anything of it. I figured I screwed up by showing up late, and I assumed Ellerin had gone out with a friend." Yeah, right. Even though someone else was later convicted for Ashley's, a lot of people still believe there's a possibility Ashton might have had a hand in it and had his close friend Diddy allegedly cover it up for him, but those aren't my words. However, Ashton has been facing a lot of public scrutiny lately as he fears he might get dragged into Diddy's mess. But let's rewind back to Simon Monjack a bit because there's still more to unpack. So, it's been established by fairly everyone that Simon was a creep, but it goes deeper than that, and there's been theories claiming that he and Sharon Murphy unalived Britney, and fans started getting this feel after Sharon and Simon both admitted to sharing the same bed in Britney's house after her demise. It was also rumored that the husband and mother duo were having an affair. And the photo shoots taken by Sharon and Simon where they were both posing like a married couple fueled these rumors more, but it wasn't just that. People couldn't ignore how sus the duo acted during interviews like they were 2 parents grieving their lost child. But could Sharon have taken out her own daughter to have Simon Monjack all to herself? Oh, recall Simon Monjack had a secret wife with 2 kids before getting married to Britney? Well, what y'all didn't know was that after Simon Monjack became a public figure due to his relationship with Britney, he tried to silence his secret wife by reaching out to her and offering to buy her a house so as to keep her under wraps. But here's the thing, after seeing how cozied up Sharon and Simon were acting towards each other, Britney's father made very strong allegations, claiming that Sharon had a hand in Britney's demise. And it began to make sense because aside from speculations about Sharon and Monjack being in a romantic relationship, Monjack later passed just 6 months after Britney from the same pneumonia, but somehow none of it affected Sharon, who was way older than them. And with Britney's will already drawn up, Sharon got her daughter's entire estate, and when she needed some money to take care of some bills, she took some of Britney's most expensive jewelries and gave it to her publicist to pun for her. But the jewelries were said to be worthless, but not just that. Britney was later reported to have died almost penniless because Simon Monjack had milked her dry. Little wonder Britney's colleagues said Simon was emotionally towards her. I mean, aside from using Britney for his own personal gain, Simon also allegedly caused Britney a lot of self-esteem issues, encouraging her to lose weight even when she was clearly fit and beautiful. It's also said that Simon asked Britney to get plastic surgery, and in the weeks leading to her death, Britney's colleagues pointed out that she looked really weak and frail due to the excessive weight she'd lost. As for Britney's mother, Sharon Murphy sold off her daughter's property at a gross undervalue, and not just that, she sold Britney's personal belongings like her bras and passports at an auction. Seems pretty weird, right? Well, Britney's passing still remains a mystery to many because there seems to have been a lot of people who wanted her out of the game. And the questions that continue to linger are, could it be Diddy who took Britney out to silence her like Kim Porter? Or was it Sharon who unalived her daughter and son-in-law? And did Ashton Kutcher or Simon Monjack have a role in any of it at all? Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to drop a like for this video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out when the latest tea drops on your favorite celebrities.